Okay, next slide. So this is a red-shouldered hawk. The Stella picture of it, Oaks Landfill, October, and it was initially thought that it had a mouse or a vole or something. But when I looked at the picture more closely, you can see that this poor little rodent here has a really long tail. So I looked up Maryland rodent with really long tail, and it turned out that we have jumping mice. So that's a meadow jumping mouse. There's also an eastern jumping mouse, but that's not in this area. So anyhow, there you go. The Oaks landfill has these things. Next, please. Oh, I'm sorry. That's all right. There's the tail. Does it still make the noise? And I took this picture of American robin at Twin Brook bike trail in October. I just like the composition and the colors with the blue. Are those juniper berries? Something like that. Nice picture of a sandhill crane by Stacy Rabinovitz at Green Hills Farm Wetland. Now, Jared Fisher on October 31st reported a black and two surf scoters at, oh, I'm sorry. Oh. Because why? Okay, I can't move the picture. Oh, there it is. So anyways, when he found them at the 121 bridge, they were way in the distance. And so, but at the end of the hour or so that I was there talking with people who showed up, they started to swim over towards the visitor center. And so I thought, well, maybe it'll be like the white-winged scoter from last February, whenever it was, that went right by the blinds at the visitor center. So I rushed over there and waited at the blind, and sure enough, they passed within 10 feet in front of me. So I was able to get this picture. So here's the famous lark sparrow from this fall. And this is one of the many nice pictures, and this one's by Frank Witebski. Another nice picture by Stacy of a sharp-shinned hawk at Gunner's Lake. Sorry, this is real sensitive. It's the beginning of November. I always like pictures of bald eagles. I can't get enough of them. And this is a nice one by Karen Vogel. A nice shot of the tail and as well as the head. Nice pictures of two yellow-bellied sapsuckers, also by Karen at Rachel Carson Conservation Park. And I'm glad that one of our members, Jim Ivet, got a decent picture of this brant that was at the Potomac River Bend area. I don't know, for a day or two, I guess, in November, found by Jonathan Putnam from the Virginia side. And I heard that some people were actually stepping in the water so that they could say that they were in Montgomery County taking the pictures from the Virginia shore. But actually the bird is in Montgomery County because the boundary between Virginia and Maryland is up the shore at Virginia. And Dave Powell found some Dunlin at Blue Mash. Here's some nice pictures by Ed Escalante. I also like fox sparrows a lot. And here's one by Kathy Wrights at Redgate Park. And Arboretum thanks to all who wrote any letters. Hopefully Rockville is on top of things now. And I'll close this final picture by Stacy of a winter wren at Kengar Palisades Park. Now I wish I couldn't find, I'll just mention one other bird. I couldn't find a member who took a picture of this bird, so I'm not showing it, but there was a black-legged kittiwake at Tridelphia Reservoir that people have counted in the county. So, but I couldn't find a club member who was there. Okay. So now I have a little bit of a tidbit. So this is a Eurasian green woodpecker, and it's got a long tongue. And this is a illustration trying to suggest that the tongue in pink actually goes back into the brain of the bird. Okay. And believe it or not, well, first of all, you could see that how could it possibly do that? It would have to split the tongue from the lower picture to be able to go around to the back. So right off the bat, that's an impossibility. But this is from the article, what said, but when these muscles relax, the woodpecker's tongue retracts along the length of the hyoid. Yep, a woodpecker's tongue is so long that it needs to be coiled around the back of its owner's skull. And this was at the on the American Bird Conservancy site. Now, I'm not picking on ABC because I had to tell Cornell Lab of Ornithology that they had a similar diagram and description on their website last May, and they took it down, so it's not there now. And if you go search the web, you'll find this repeated. So that's just not right. So it is true that woodpeckers have a hyoid bone, which actually extends from inside the mouth back and around the back of their skull, come up to the forward part, and depending on the type of woodpecker, attaches near the eyes or to the right side of the eyes. But the hyoid bone in the woodpeckers does exist like that. Here's another picture in red of the hyoid bone in a woodpecker, and the tongue actually is attached to this hyoid bone. It wraps around the first two bones of the hyoid bone, which are sort of sticking out of the mouth there. But this one doesn't have a tongue on it, and the tongue extends out further from that. And so muscles can contract this hyoid bone and push it out, and that allows the tongue to go out. But the tongue doesn't go back into the head. It all fits into the mouth somehow. And it's interesting that the hyoid bone has been shown to relieve some of the stress on the head of the woodpecker as it pecks. Now, there are other parts of this equation, like what the skull bones of the woodpecker are made of, that help with this force from the pecking, which is very fast and forceful. But the hyoid bone also participates in this. And here they took readings of stress after a peck, starting at an early time at 0.6 milliseconds and progressing first along the top and then the bottom here. And the red is the most stress. And you can see that the stress starts to accumulate at the ends and also in the back. And so it's offering cushioning to the skull and the brain inside when it pecks. So that's probably one of the major reasons why the hyoid bone stretches around the back of the head. So we have a hyoid bone too, but it's not at all like the hyoid bone in a bird. It's mostly, it is confined to the throat. It's important for breathing, and it can be a cause of sleep apnea. It's involved in swallowing and speech. It's the only bone in the body in the human that actually does not articulate with another bone. So all its connections are through muscles or ligaments that separate it from other bones. And an interesting fact, if the hyoid is incompletely ossified, like in lions, it allows the lion to roar. But if it's completely ossified, then the cat can't roar, but it can purr or meow like cheetahs or house cats. Here's another picture of that woodpecker with a tongue not quite as far extended.